Welcome to TFO next morning for week 7. This is TheRaja. I'm coming to you post-Easter here. It's 12:38 a.m. as I record this right now. So I just finished all my Easter activities and everything. I've only gotten a chance to watch the commentated games. I watched most of those before I left for Easter, and then once I got back here today, the first thing I did was watch the Sunday night game. And so now we're just going to go through some of these games and see what happened. This will probably be kind of quick because of how late it is, but we'll see how it goes. So first off, this week's edition of TFO Next Morning is brought to you by Meanies, the most delicious TFO-sponsored cereal. So if you want to get your kick on, then you want to get down with the Meanies. You're pretty when I'm drunk is what that says up there. So I like the Meanies. They're delicious. So let's recap some of the games that occurred this week, week 7. We had the Celestial Defenders take on the Westeros Guardians on Thursday Night Football in a champion versus champion matchup, as the Defenders were the Ifrit Bowl champions and the Guardians were the Shiva Bowl champions. And the Defenders defended their championship as they were victorious 15-10 in a champion. What was cool about this matchup is the Defenders wore their original outfits, their colors, and the Westeros wore their colors, but it's the same colors they've always had. So it was kind of neat to see like a throwback uniform. I'd like to do more of that stuff going forward in different kind of ways. So I'm experimenting with it, but that was part of that. That was beautiful. So then we had our first Friday feud, which is a special we had, which was the Stellar Offenders taking on the Weapon X's. This came about because Nick Dean and John Mann both work in the same office with me, and they wanted to take this grudge match. This is the only time they get to face off this season because they're in different divisions, so they wanted to commentate it. And, if you want to commentate something, you got the way to commentate it, we can work on it. And so that's what happened here. And the Offenders lost 14 to X's 28. Wolverine had a great, amazing game there. Man, his pass yards kind of sucked, though. But whatever. It was kind of a weird... There were fumbles, and Nick knew his time was coming up, so he knew a loss was inevitable at some point. So then we went into Saturday afternoon games because Easter was Sunday. So last year we didn't play games on Easter other than the Sunday night game. So I thought that was a cool tradition to keep up. So we had Saturday afternoon games. The first of that was the World's Warriors taking on G.I. Joe, with the Warriors just dominating 33-10. The Warriors, they've been looking really impressive. The Rap Kings faced off against the WWF Hall of Famers, and the Rap Kings showed what's up. 17 to Hall of Famers 7. This was a pretty big game for the Kings, as Fife Dog unfortunately passed earlier this week, and Fife Dog is on the defense. He's in the secondary there and really hasn't had any plays or really shown anything this season. No interceptions or anything, and he got his first interception this week in their big win. So I think that was a awesome tribute to Fife Dog. So R.I.P. 2016. Interception winning the game. Death does not die here in TFO. We continue on. The legacy we build for these guys. You know what I mean? So, Fife Dog. He looks just wild in that picture, too. So Venture Industries took on the Pallet Poke Ballers, and Venture Industries lost 21 to the Ballers, 42. Man, I tell you, the Pokeballers, they seem like they're a high-octane team. They either score a crap load of points and win, or they lose. So I think this is a real defining game for them because Venture Industries is a really good team. They're number 1 in their division. So, interesting game there. The Rainbow Unicorns took on the South Jersey Slashers, and the Unicorns scoring probably the most points they've ever scored in a game, 42-26. Wow. And like, that's all defense, it looks like, because look at the yardage there. I have to go watch this game. That's just incredible. That's just crazy. Let's continue on. The Beer Gods took on the Raider All-Stars. The Beer Gods winning just by a field goal, 10-7. I'm wondering if that was an overtime victory then, I do know LaFin Dumande is out, and so that's really hurt the Beer Gods, but I mean, it's impressive to see them get a victory with one of their main guys being down. So, but don't forget that the Raider All-Stars also had Jim Plunkett out, and Kenny Stabler was in. And, I picked Kenny Stabler in fantasy and 3 interceptions. Thanks, Kenny. I really, really appreciate that. The Hoovians took on the Hollywood Heroes, and I already know what happened in this game because I wasn't in the doghouse during Easter. The Hoovians were victorious in overtime, 31-28. And really, the Hoovians dominated that game until about the fourth quarter when they totally fell apart and the Heroes just took total advantage and were able to push it in overtime. But the Hoovians won the coin flip and were able to get in field goal range. That's just how it worked out. So I was very happy with that game. I know when I go to work on Monday, Clayton's going to make me pay for this. But, right now I'm pretty happy about it. The Greek Legends took on the All-American Elkies. That's a really important divisional game right there. And the Legends getting a victory only by a field goal, 24-21. I wonder if that's an overtime victory as well. Because only a field goal, that's not too much. Barry God Sanders with 167 yards. I love the Barry God. Ooh, Jim Beam with 2 interceptions. I bet you that's where they really lost it. So, the Elkies, man, when they're drunk, they are out there swinging. So, I like that team, though. I like that matchup right there. That's a good matchup. The Azrothian Assassins taking on the DBZ squad, with the squad getting the victory. Assassins 28, squad 34. Assassins really needed a victory here. Man, they look impressive with their numbers. I know Nate Rodenberger was touting how good they looked today, but legendary Broly with 325 yards. I know that he was number 1 in fantasy this week. So, good job, Seth, man. You made a monster. So then on Saturday night special with the Black Hole Squad, it was the Robot Masters taking on the Champs Chumps. And this is another intense feud that has gone over divisions. It used to be in one division and now in a totally different division. The Masters coming up short, 24-28 to the Chumps. And really the Chumps were doing really well. And then the Masters were able to kind of catch up and have kind of a shot there for a little bit. But the Chumps looked good in some aspects, and in other aspects, Kanisi throwing the ball was just 20% completions, 2 interceptions. I mean, but then you look at, he ran 6 times for 77 yards. You know what I mean? The Chumps only had 2 first downs. And Ron Jeremy was one of those catches for 78 yards. So that means only one of Kanisi's catch. Wow. But the Chumps victorious. I like the Chumps. I think they're a really good team. They're very versatile, and that's probably why they were able to win this game, to be honest. So, okay, and that must be the last game because, oh no, there it is. It's working. Boxhead Capers versus the Lost Survivors. That was Sunday night with the VGV guys, and the Capers were just tremendous. 38-7. Animal. Number 2 in fantasy this week was just unleashed against the Survivors. And this was a pretty important game for the Capers because, as you'll see in their standings, this really puts everything really close to home. So let's go over the standings, and we'll start with their division, actually. It's the Bad Snap with the Stella Offenders on top, 5-2, the Stellar Offenders. The Boxhead Capers and the Lost Survivors are both 4-2. Hollywood Heroes are 3-3. And the Hoovians are 2-4. It's still really anybody's division, but the Offenders have off this week, so the other people in the division are going to be able to catch up one of them weeks. But a big number to look at there is the Boxhead Capers only allowing 67 points for their opponents. Their defense, wow. Miss Piggy has been on fire. So in the Bad Crackle, we got the Beer Gods on top, 6-1. The DBC Brolies, number 2 with 5-2, and then a little cushion area here. Weapon X is 3-4, and Azrothian Assassins and the Raider All-Stars both 2-5. So the Beer Gods, they're not too far away from DBZ squad, only 1 win, but then it drops 3 wins to 3rd, and then 4 wins to 4th and 5th. So Evil Dave's got a nice good lead there, but Seth is really closing that gap, and that's a really close division there. I wouldn't count Weapon X's out either. Wolverine really showed himself to be a versatile player this week. Bad Pop division with the 8-Bit Brigade on top, 4-2. The Nocturne Maniacs 3-3. Turtles 2-4, and the Slurs 1-5. They all had their bye this week, so nothing really changed there. So coming back, I mean, everything's really close there. I don't think anybody's out of that one either. Mad Snap, we got Venture Industries on top, 4-2. The World's Warriors, 3-2-1. The Rainbow Unicorns are 3-3, and the Hall of Famers of the WWF are 2-4. I have to go watch this Rainbow Unicorn game because we've been laughing at defense not working, and then somehow, someway, the Rainbow Unicorns are making it happen. They are really shoving it in our face right now, and I'm really intrigued. They've only scored 78 points. They scored 42 of that this week. They've scored more than all the points that they've scored the entire season. That's wild. The World's Warriors, Venture Industry, they really need to look out here. So, crazy. Mad Crackle, we got the All-American Alcoholics tied at the top there with the Champs, Chumps, and the Greek Legends. A three-way first way, 4-3. That's craziness. Westeros Guardians and Robot Masters are down there 1-6, but even though it kind of looks bleak for them, they do not want to think that they're out of this because they're not. They're only 3 wins down from first place, literally, and they're going to have to play these teams. So if they can get big interdivisional victories, they're definitely back into this. And then for the Mad Pop, we got the Celestial Defenders, my apologies, 5-1-1. That tie really... McLeod's going to ride that tie. He's going to ride that tie. The Rap Kings, 5-2. South Jersey Slashers, 4-3. They should have been 5-2 this week. Losing to the Rainbow Unicorns is insanity. I have to watch that game. Pallet Pokeballers, 3-4. And G.I. Joe, 2-5. This division's real close, too. That tie is going to come into play somehow. Some way. 201 points for McLeod. He is the #1 scoring team. Wow. And only allowing 100 points. So he's scored his ratio, his between number there is 101. That's insanity. Those teams in that division, they need to look out. Injury report. Well, here's who's injured. Lafendu Mande is out another week, which is just dreadful for the poor Beer Gods. They really needed help there, and the help that they were getting from Stellas Tuas, oh my gosh, wow. So even Lafendu Mande's backup is injured. This is just danger zone for the Beer Gods, but it's really proven their worth, so I'll have to go see that game as well. That's going to be a good one. Grom, Hellscream, the Azerothian Assassins, they're more of a passing team, so losing a running back's not too bad. Brock Sampson, the Venture Industries, ouch. And that's probably a big reason why they went down this week. Sir Lancel, the Westeros Guardians, that's running back too. Wiley, Oilman of the Robot Masters, losing him did really hurt their offense, so the Robot Masters are going to miss him. And I know how good Lone Star, the Defenders, is, so that's a big miss too. I remember when he went down. Greninja Pokemon, I mean that kind of sucks, but they're a passing team, so they're not too much worried about him. Eccleston of the Hoovians is coming back. Jim Plunkett of the Raider All Stars coming back. That's awesome for them. They really need their quarterback. Pizza Boy Keno of the Turtles, he's a running back 3, probably a returner. Nobody cares. Cousin Butch of the Hall of Famers, he's coming back. He's a big receiver. They really need him back, and they had a huge loss this week. Sailor Jerry, the All-American Alcoholics, is coming back, and they really need him because they had a big loss this week, and I bet you his injury or his miss of game or whatever it was, I bet you that really affected them. And King Agamemnon of the Greek Legends, he's just a returner, but it's always good to have your main returner back. So bye-week reminder this week, the Stellar Offenders, Celestial Defenders. Man, it's weird that you guys are taking the same week off. That's kind of conspiracy if you ask me. G.I. Joe, South Jersey Slashers, Pallet Pokeballers, and the Rap Kings. So really, it's the Mad Pop division with the Stellar Offenders because we got to have even number. So 5 teams doesn't make an even number. So speaking of top 5. So I'm being lazy again this week. I just threw one together really quick. I'm doing the top 5 leading receivers in TFO right now. So right now, after week 7, number 5 is Buzz Lightyear of the Celestial Defenders. He has had 12 receptions for 592 yards. That's a 49.3 average and 5 touchdowns. When he gets the ball, you know he's going for the long haul. These are all wide receivers. You know what I'm saying? Buzz Lightyear I like because he played for the Pixar shorts in a previous season. So I love when players come back. I love the rich legacy we can have here in TFO. Number 4 is Syl Windrunner of the Azerothian Assassins. 9 catches for 598 yards, a 66.4 average, and 6 touchdowns. All I can say about those numbers is wow. And she's number one with the average on there. She has the less catches, so you know they're going for that big bump. They've recently, the Assassins have been really working that pass recently good. You know, they were sucking there in the beginning, so hopefully they can continue that trend and get more yards and get more touchdowns and get more wins. Speaking of a team that needs more yards, more touchdowns, and more wins, we're talking Westeros Guardians. And number 3 is Sir Jaime Lannister. 14 catches for 628 yards, a 44.8 average with 8 touchdowns. That's a team that really need what they 1-6, I believe, 1-6. Man, Westeros, and they haven't been doing bad. It's just things have happened that have unfortunately not gone their way. So if they can stop the infighting with their families and trying to kill each other and having red weddings and all this, I think the Westeros Guardians can find their place back to prominence. Number 2 is the All-American Alcoholics Captain Morgan. 12 receptions for 674 yards, a 56.1 average, and 9 touchdowns. He's a hard-hitting licker. He's been an MVP, if I remember correctly. So, I mean, he's definitely always a force to be reckoned with. The All-American Alcoholics have a hell of a passing game. And number 1 is General Patton of the World's Warriors. 24 receptions for 785 yards, 32.7 average, and 8 touchdowns. You want to talk about a guy that should be on your fantasy roster. 24 catches means that you're going to be getting some yards in some way, in some capacity. General Patton is being heavily used in that offense. He has over 100 yards on Captain Morgan. So, the 8 touchdowns, that kind of sucks. Morgan does have more, but Morgan also, I mean, you really would have to look for fantasy because Morgan does have the designed run, and this is just receptions. So, but that's the top 5. And then that's it for what I got here. Let's see. 17, I'll just talk for a little bit because I got to edit this. I really enjoy. I mean, I just want to watch the Rainbow Unicorn game. You know what? I'm going to pause this. I'm going to watch the Rainbow Unicorn game, and then I'm going to add that to the ending. That's what I'm going to do. So hold on. Okay, I just watched the Unicorn Slasher game, and here are my thoughts on it. First off, it wasn't as lopsided as the final score showed. It was actually a really close game. I was riveted. I was on the edge of my seat the entire time. One thing that I really noticed was the Rainbow Unicorns really applying more of a short passing game and really trying to use short runs, short passes to get the offense moving, which I thought was pretty good. They were also putting a lot of pressure on the quarterback, especially in the first quarter, and that's why Lecter threw the interception, which really they capitalized on real well. Then South Jersey had looked amazing in special teams today, but the Rainbow Unicorns were just on fire. They had a touchdown. Tinkerbell had a touchdown. She's had 4 in previous seasons. So this is at least her 5th, unless she's had another one this season that I can't think of right now. So, and really, that's what won the game for the Rainbow Unicorns. I've never seen a game more dictated by special teams than this one. Like, both their special teams looked really good, too. And Slashers had a good shot there, especially at the end. It was maybe right at the beginning of the fourth quarter. They scored the touchdown, and they opted not to. They were only down by, what did I have? 3 points. They were only down by 3 points with 3 minutes left. And so they kicked it back to the Unicorns because the Unicorns' offense shouldn't be that daunting. But then Tinkerbell ran it back to, the 40? And then they used a short pass and then the roundabout run to get him into the red zone. And then they were able to score. And then on the kickoff return, South Jersey fumbled it. That's what we were just talking about a second ago. Bam. And Rainbow Unicorns were able to get it back. And they got the last second touchdown, garbage touchdown. I don't really think it's garbage in fantasy because I don't think anybody took those Unicorn players. And the Unicorns not only get a huge victory, but they doubled how many points they've scored this entire season. And so they're now 3-3. They only had 3 first downs. I've never, they had barely 100 yards. Their special teams was just great. They were also able to get some luck on their side. Myers fumbled and Tabby recovered right in the Unicorns red zone. Like, how nice is that when a touchdown only takes you like 20 yards? One of the most shocking moments of the whole game was the safety that SJ got on the Unicorns, the Slashers. Jason Voorhees got him right in the end zone with the 2-point. And that just really shocked me because I remember seeing this ending score before watching that game. And it just seemed like the score was so much closer. The game was so much closer than really what this outlined. So I recommend going to watch that. I guess that's something you can do. But wow, 3-3 the Unicorns now. I guess Balog's going to have a bigger list of teams that need to be fired or whatever he calls it. Here, I'll do that for you, Balog. First, we got the Hoovians. She ain't getting fired. 2-4. The Azerothian Assassins and the Raider All-Stars are 2-5. The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle Torturers is 2-4. Racial Slurs are 1-5. The WWF Hall of Famers are 2-4. The Westeros Guardians and the Robot Masters are 1-6. And G.I. Joe is 2-5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There are 9 teams that have a worse record than the Rainbow Unicorns there, Balog. So what do you got to say about the Unicorns now, huh? What do you got to say? And then if we're counting 3-3 teams in it, well, actually, you know what? They're beating the World. Well, the Awards Warrior has a tie, so I can see why they're on there. But if we're counting 3-3s in there as well, then what? There's another 1, 2. Well, that's a 3-4 team. I'll count them 2, 3. There's another 3 teams. So that's almost half. They're almost Rainbow Unicorns are middle of the pack right now. They're 3-3, literally middle of the pack. They've only allowed 119 points. That's not too bad. I mean, the Boxhead Capers have only allowed 67. That's insanity. Beer Gods have only allowed 92. They're the only 3 teams that have under 100 in one of those fields. Anyone have over 200 in a field? Yes, the Celestial Defenders is 201 points. And they've only allowed 100 points, so they were just a point shy of being on the other list I just named there. So, wow. TFO craziness. So, okay. Well, this week, week 8, we're going to have Wednesday Night Lights. I don't know who's hosting it or where we're going to be, whatnot. I'm still working out the details, but if you'd like to help commentate it, just get a hold of me. You know, if you're in the Columbus area, I will be having it in some capacity. I don't know. It's just maybe even at my house, just drinking, watching TFO, and just randomly talking. So, and then we'll record a Thursday night football there as well, because unfortunately I can't meet up with Mr. Anderson this week for our traditional Thursday night football. He is out doing important business dealings for TFO. The sponsorships have been rolling in with like the Jesse Ventura chewing tobacco and the Meanies and the Defenderos and the Bum Potion number 9. All of this stuff is just selling like hotcakes. If you're not making a product in TFO, I don't know what you're doing, because I tell you, like, there's millions of dollars to be made out there. It's all imaginary money, but I say you guys try to make it. So, and it's fun. I like fun. I like being an instigator too, and so I'm going to say that I enjoy Meanies over Defenderos. My problem with Defenderos is it seems like it's just become too commercialized. You know what I mean? I remember a time when Defenderos was kind of like, you know, underground. People really didn't know it. You know, if you ate it, you were a cool kid on like a different level. But now everybody to be popular people got to be eating Defenderos, and I say nay to that. I enjoy the Meanies. I enjoy the weekly change in the boxes on the Meanies. This week it was Dark Phoenix. So who's going to be the Meanie one from the Weapon X game? They lost. But, you know, somebody's got to go on that Meanie box. Somebody that's mean and going to reinvigorate that team who's already number 1 in their division. And they're getting a week off. So I wonder what hijinks they'll be up to this week. That's very interesting to think about. So, I mean, that's about it, right? All right. Well, see you next Tecmo.